What if the reason that you're behind all the time is because you're trying to do too much? What if that thing that you're chasing, like the end of the to-do list, is actually the thing that's putting you farther behind? Today, we're going to be pulling apart some of the biggest productivity myths that are currently running your day-to-day life. And some of these things are going to make you a little uncomfortable. And that's good, my friend, because that means we're getting somewhere. Welcome to the Balance It Method podcast. If you're a working mom juggling a career, kids, housework, a social life, and endless piles of laundry, then you are in the right place, my friend. I'm Tamara, a mom, business owner, and your balanced living bestie. Each week, we will discuss simple, practical ways to better manage your time and energy so you can get things checked off that to-do list without burning yourself out in the process. If you're ready to take off that busy badge of honor and finally take control over life's chaos, then let's take this journey together as we learn how to balance it. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Balance It Method podcast. I'm your host, Tamara, and I help overwhelmed working moms just like you escape survival mode so that you can start organizing your time better and building simple systems and create some space for yourself again. So in today's episode, we're going to be busting up some productivity myths. We're going to be changing the way you think about productivity forever. Like it stops here and everything changes today. And what we're going to be talking about ties back to a time before I had the Balance It method, before I even started like planning my days and my weeks. And it was really like in early motherhood when I was still home right before I went back to work. And every day was really like the same, but the same kind of chaos, right? Like there was no real system or routine in how we did it. I mean, the routines were there, but they weren't supportive. And I remember just constantly being exhausted and feeling like I could not get everything done. And then I was like facing the fact that I was going back to work soon. And I was like, how am I ever going to be able to do a job and be out of the house all day and then still do all of the things that need to be done around here and raise a child? Like it just felt impossible. And I remember this happened more than once, I'm sure, but there was one time when this stood out in my memory where I was sitting on the couch and I think I was ordering something on my phone, but I was sitting on the couch and my son's dad came home from work and I saw the car pulling in the driveway and I immediately jumped up and started looking like I was doing something like a chore around the house. And it got me to think for a minute because I was like, why am I doing this? Why did I just stop? I was actually doing something on my phone, even though it looked like I was doing nothing. And I jumped up off the couch to make it look like I was physically busy doing something so that he didn't think I was being lazy. So then I really realized that like I was equating what I could get done in a day, what I was physically actively doing with what other people might think of me and their in turn my own self-worth. I guess somewhere along the journey of my life, I absorbed the belief that if I'm not actively doing something, then I'm being unproductive and therefore I'm not valuable, like myself. And that's like the core belief, right? Like my value is diminished based on the little amount of things that I am producing in a day. And yet I'm still doing things, right? Like 90% of the time when we're moms sitting down with our phones in our hands, it might look like we're doing nothing, but our brains are still doing stuff. Like we're thinking about what we need to order. Maybe we're actually searching for a new pair of rain boots for our kids for the upcoming spring season. Maybe we're ordering groceries on the phone. Like we're constantly, our brains are thinking and anticipating and trying to make sure that everything is done for all the people around us. But there's something about actively doing those chores that looks, those physical things that we can see around the house that looks more productive, or we assume that that person is being productive because they're actively doing something, which really diminishes the invisible labor that we do all day, every day, like the majority of our job as a mom. And these beliefs that the invisible labor doesn't exist, the mental load doesn't exist, and you're only productive if you're doing actual tasks, that belief is what is really running us into the ground. So let's bust all of these productivity myths up today. And so you can leave this episode and realize, at least when you're doing those things, when you jump up off the couch to make it look like you're doing something, when you are chasing the end of that never-ending to-do list, you can at least take a pause and realize what you're doing, and then you'll have the opportunity to make an intentional choice. So let's kick this all off with the biggest one, shall we? Why not go big or go home, right? Right off the hop. We, somewhere in our lives, were taught as moms, this is specific to women and mothers, that good moms are on top of everything. Successful women are hustling. Those put together moms at school drop off in the morning, you know, the ones we hate with their hair and makeup done and they look like supermodels when they're dropping their kids off at school, and you're there with hair that hasn't been brushed or washed in however many days and in your pajama pants with a cup of coffee in your hand. That means they're efficient and you're not. You're failing and they're doing really well. And we can laugh at it. Like, there's so many creators online that make these kind of comparisons between like the put together mom and the messy mom, the hot mess mom. And they make it funny and we can all laugh with it and sort of relate to it. But there is a deep misunderstanding here that one of those women is actually doing it better than the other one. And it's a really dangerous belief because if your house is messy, you forgot to fill out a form, you need a break from doing it all, then it must be a character flaw in you, right? Like, it doesn't feel like it's a logistical issue. It feels like it's a you problem. And it's dangerous because when you attach your worth to what you're able to get done or what you're able to produce in a day, you create a system where you can never rest without feeling shame, right? You can't sit down on the couch for 5 minutes because then you're thinking, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. That is absolutely unsustainable, and that switch needs to flip off in your brain. The thing is, we would never think this about anybody else in our lives, right? Like, imagine your kid was like in a sport and not good at it. And would you be like, oh, they're not valuable now because they're not that good at this sport? Like, if you feel like that about your kids, if you're one of those hockey moms, you don't belong on this podcast. Bye. See you later. I can't even imagine thinking that my son was less valuable because he wasn't producing in the way that I think he should be producing, or wasn't getting the grades that I think he should be getting, or wasn't cleaning his toys up when I've asked him to 100 times. That doesn't make him less valuable. And the same goes for you, my friend. The whole self-worth and value thing, it's such a sticky point for me, and it gets me very angry when I start to realize that I'm feeling that way, because it's still there. Like, it's always going to be there. It's conditioned to be there, and it will be. And I just need to recognize it and make the intentional choice to do things differently. But when I see it come up, it makes me really angry, because this is what is expected in society, right? This is what we're taught is what it means to be a valuable human, is to produce, is to be useful. And I hate to tell you this, my ladies, but this societal structure that we live within right now was not built for us. It was not built for us to be out there producing things. This system was built for men. Men's hormone structures that run from, they have the highest amount of testosterone in the morning, it declines through the night. Therefore, we have a 9 to 5 workday. That was not built for us. Our hormones go up and down all the time. We're a different person, like 28 days out of the month. And none of that equates to you being worth less. And if you really stop and think about it, it's absolutely ridiculous. So I hope the next time that you jump up off the couch to make yourself look like you're doing something, you stop and you think for a second, why am I doing this? And maybe just choose something different. And it's going to be uncomfortable to choose something different. It's going to be uncomfortable to stay sitting on that couch and allowing the other person coming in the door to possibly think that you might be lazy, right? That's going to be hard for us to regulate our nervous systems in that moment. But I think that it is an important practice. Okay, let's move on because I'm starting to get a little worked up about it. Myth number 2, busy equals productive. This is kind of like goes hand in hand, but this is the glorification of being busy. How many times do you have this conversation with another mom? Hey, how are you doing? Oh my gosh, I'm so busy, right? Like we use busy as like our jumping off point for conversation because we think all moms can relate to being busy. And in reality, we can. This ties back to like the productivity equals self-worth thing because we wear this busyness like a badge of honor. Like, look at how much value I hold in this world. I'm so busy. And for most of us, busyness is true. Like we are just really busy. There are always things to respond to. There's emails to answer. There's school reminders. There's text messages coming in. There's laundry. There's dishes. There's all these things. There's kids' schedules that we have to run them all over the planet to be able to get to. Busy is the motion of the doing. Productivity is intentional movement towards an end point. You can be doing things all day long, and most of you probably are, just sort of reacting to what's coming in your life. And then at the end of the day, going to bed and not being able to like pinpoint anything that actually got done because you were being busy. You weren't being productive. Not that you need to be productive, because remember, being productive and producing things throughout the day is not tied to your worth. You're allowed to relax. And we're going to get to how rest plays into all of this. But right now, let's focus on that busy work, because this is where a lot of moms come to me to fix the situations in their lives, because they're busy all the time doing all these things because they're in reactive mode. They don't have any systems or rhythms to how things get done. And so everything feels chaotic. Everything feels scattered. They're not able to actually finish a task, or they're dropping tasks all the time, forgetting things, letting things slide through the cracks because they have no systems in place. Being truly productive, like producing something in your day, isn't necessarily tied to doing more things. It's actually about doing what matters on purpose and like really focusing in. And that's really what I help people to be able to do, is to create systems so that they're not as reactive to all of those things coming in their day-to-day lives. Okay, myth number 3, and this is my favorite one because everybody wants to argue with me about it. Rest is not productive. Baloney. Rest is one of the most productive things you can do as a working mom. And all of this ties back right to the very first one, which is why we started with that, because rest feels like we're being lazy. Rest feels like it's indulgent. Rest feels like you need to earn it to be able to have it. But quite honestly, biologically and neurologically, like science speak, we have to rest. Rest is fuel. And you know this inherently. You know that you need a break. You know that you need space for yourself, especially in those like younger years of our children, right? Where they need so much from us. We really do need space. And I'm maybe one that needs more space than the average. I really like my time alone, and I need to protect it in order to be able to show up as the mom that I want to be and the person that I want to be and the business owner that I want to be. I cannot show up for my life the way that I want to if I am depleted. And the problem is we know that we need the rest, but we go and we push and we hustle until the point that we're starting to burn out. And then we're like, okay, let's take a girls' weekend, right? Or let's go to the spa. And then you put all of the pressure on this one weekend or this one day away to be able to take away all of the things that have happened in the last however many months it's been since you've had a chance to rest. And I hate to tell you this, but that one day or that one weekend isn't going to fully charge your battery again. You need regular built-in rest protected by boundaries so that you don't get to that point of burnout and need to get away. Rest is productive because it protects your energy. It sharpens your actual mental clarity. It prevents burnout and depletion, and it allows for sustainability. And sustainability should be the real goal here. Never, ever should productivity be the goal. Sustainability should always be top of mind. You're not a machine, my friend. You're not a machine. You are a human, and you have capacity limits. Rest should never, ever, 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 ever be a reward. It should be part of the system. Okay, my friends, if you have been measuring yourself by how much you do, I want you to pause today. Instead of asking, what did I accomplish? What did I get done? Try asking, what did I protect today? Did I protect my energy, my peace? Did I protect time with my kids? Did I protect my nervous system? Because that counts, my friend. And in fact, that matters more than anything else. Being organized doesn't mean having a color-coded calendar and every minute accounted for. Productivity doesn't mean you need to be exhausted. And successfulness doesn't mean disappearing inside of your responsibilities. You don't need to try harder. You need better systems. You need clearer priorities. And you need permission to stop proving your worth. This episode is your permission slip, my friend. If you are someone who is ready to start building a week that doesn't require you to constantly overperform to feel like you're doing okay, then you can come and check out my free simplified workshop. It's linked up in the show notes below. And in this workshop is where you start to put the pieces together of how you can stop chasing that to-do list and start designing something that's really sustainable. Thank you for being here, my friend. I want to leave you with one more thought. If you aren't the one that defines productivity, the world will define it for you, and it will always ask for more. Thank you for being here. I hope this episode was helpful to you, and I will see you back here for the next one. Bye, guys.